What's up, everybody? This is Eric from Ease Computer Solutions. So I reviewed a lot of Sony phones on this YouTube channel, the XA Premium, the XA Ultra, and stuff in between. And I picked up the XA2 Ultra, even though it's a 2018 phone. But how has it aged over time? What about the updates? What about the device? Has it gotten better over the course of 1 year? Let's find out. Shout out to my man, I Take You Out guy, aka Two Phones for Free guy, right? He been reviewing the XA2 Ultra. He been loving the phone. So I picked this one up mid 200 bucks, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts about this device. How has it aged over time? So sit back and relax and get your popcorn ready. And let's talk about the XA2 Ultra right now. Let's go.
What's up, guys? This is Eric back with another video, and using the Sony XA2 Ultra was a jewel to use with its huge 6-inch 16:9 aspect ratio with good software and stuff like that, which I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's go on and get into it. Let's talk about the specs. The Sony XA2 Ultra has a huge 6-inch 1080p IPS LCD display with the Snapdragon 630 processor with 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, complemented by SD card support. But check this out. On the rear, we got a 23 megapixel camera that can record up to 4K 30 and 1080p 60. And in the front, we have a dual camera setup, which consists of a 16 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization and an 8 megapixel camera. Also, thank you, Sony. For the United States, we now get a fingerprint scanner on the rear. This phone has a huge 3580 milliamp battery with quick charge 3.0. And lastly, the price. The price here, guys. The price, you could pick this phone up mid 200 bucks, which is great. This device is running Android 8.0, which is not a good thing, and I'm going to talk about it later on in this video. Okay, so I'm outside, and I want y'all guys to see the viewing angles here. I got the device at full brightness, and I want y'all guys to see the viewing angles here, which you got a little glare here, but overall you can see that the device, when it comes down to viewing angles, is pretty good. And as you can see, kind of getting it out the glare, kind of turning it sideways there, that the viewing angles on this device is pretty good. Also, I want to talk to you guys out about the battery life on here. 3580 milliamp battery with the 630 processor with a 1080p display. Even though it's a 6-inch display, I'm getting a very good battery life. I mean, 7, 8, 9 hours of on-screen time with light use, and the standby time on here is very good. So you will definitely get through a full day of battery life with the XA2 Ultra, and which is a good thing, because I slammed some of the previous devices for poor battery life, but this device, you definitely got very good battery life. So when it comes down to battery life, again, your usage may vary. If you use it extremely hard with full brightness all day, then you won't get that type of battery life. But if you go medium brightness and using it pretty heavy, you definitely would get through the day with the XA2 Ultra. Also, let's talk about the fingerprint scanner. And now, it's not the fastest fingerprint scanner, but it does the job. And to me, I think Sony have stepped up, because if you looked at the previous models in the US, they did not have fingerprint scanners enabled, but here in this generation, they enabled the fingerprint scanner. So thank God that we got a fingerprint scanner in the back of this device. But overall, wow, this phone, heavy, bulky, looks good, dedicated camera button, booyah, and it gets the job done. So when you press it, bam, ready to go. That's what I'm talking about. Up next, let's talk about the performance of the Sony XA2 Ultra. This device running a Snapdragon 630 processor with 4 gigs of RAM. This device also have Android 8.0 with Sony skin on top of Android. So now, as far as performance, it's very snappy. You can run all the apps and games, which is nice, and it looks really good with that huge 6-inch 16:9 aspect ratio display. Also, playing games on this phone is a breeze. I have no hiccups or no stuttering playing games on this phone. But please remember, this phone has the Snapdragon 630 processor, so playing high-end games can be done, but at mid-range settings. So let's talk about the cameras on this device. And as you know, Sony supply camera lenses to a lot of manufacturers. So what about this phone? This device has a 23 megapixel on the rear and 2 cameras up front, which consists of 16 megapixels with optical image stabilization and an 8 megapixel camera. And I tell you, this phone can run 4K 30, 1080p 60, which is a good thing. So let me show you guys some footage with this camera. So check this out. All right, guys, so here it is. I have the Sony XA2 Ultra, and I got the Google Pixel for reference here. And I want to walk here so y'all guys can see the difference between a high-end camera supposed to be on the Pixel and a mid-range mid-$200 camera, which is on the Sony. So let's go to the walk, and I'm shooting this at 1080p 30 frames per second, and you be the judge for yourself when looking at these cameras. I'm going to go audio from side to side so y'all guys can hear the audio on both of these cameras. So let's get into some color here. And I'm gonna have a full comparison with multiple devices coming soon. But I just want to give you a quick video on the Google Pixel 3 and the Sony XA2 Ultra. So there it is. All right, so this is the front-facing camera of the Sony XA2 Ultra. Oh, this camera looks pretty good. Now, this is a 16 megapixel optical image stabilization camera. Also, it has a wide angle lens in the front and a flash. But wow, man, I am definitely impressed looking at the front facing camera. But you let me know about the audio. And as I walk, and again, it has optical image stabilization in the front facing camera. So I'm doing this here. And I want y'all guys to look at the background there. See how I distinguish the difference between me and the background as it do some focusing, and so it start to focus more on me and blurring out the background. And as I move, the camera try to distinguish, and the white balance kicking in and stuff like that. So that's important. That's one of the reasons why I do these camera comparison and camera reviews and stuff like that, so you can see the difference in rear cameras and front cameras. All right, so this is only a sample. I got full camera reviews coming up for this device. Mid $200, front facing camera, looks good. It looks really good. I'm impressed.
So I enjoy using the XA2 Ultra, right? But there's a few things that kind of disappointed me with this phone. The first thing is the operating system. This device is running Android 8.0. Listen, we are in 2019. And this phone is a year old now. So by this phone being a year old and it's still running Android 8.0, that concerns me because it needs some TLC. Even though this device has the simple security patch, it still concerns me that we are almost at the end of February of 2019 and this phone doesn't have Pi. So that's one thing that concerns me about this phone. And another thing that concerns me about this phone is the signal. Look, I put this phone on AT&T and I put this phone on T-Mobile. And I want to show you guys when I ran speed tests on this phone. And look, for some strange reason, I am not getting the capable speeds that I think this phone ought to get. And it's something kind of weird to me because I put it against my Galaxy Note 9 on T-Mobile and I put it side by side and I'm running like twice the speed on T-Mobile with my Galaxy Note 9 versus this phone. Also, I've been noticing that on AT&T that when I put two phones side by side and I run speed tests, I am not getting great speeds with this device. And look, I know that on T-Mobile it doesn't have band 71 or band 70 or whatever it's called, but still the speed concerns me. And by me using this phone as my daily driver for the last couple of days, maybe a week or so, I've been noticing the speeds on this device has not been the greatest. In some areas I've gotten like 1 meg, 2 megs up and down, and that's not good. So the speed, the signals, the antennas on this thing is a little weak. So you have to be advised that having this device is in my area, it's kind of weak to me, and they use it on both carriers. Now you cannot use this on Verizon and you cannot use this on Sprint. It's a GSM phone. So with all that said and done, if you're in Wi-Fi or if you like the speeds in your area, if you got the XA2 Ultra, you fine. But in my area, I noticed a difference between speeds with this device. But overall, I really do like this phone. I really do like the 16:9 aspect ratio. I really like a lot of elements about this phone. Plastic back instead of glass, which look, you could rock this without a case. Screen protector and without a case. And listen, you got a headphone jack on here, which it sounds amazing. So overall, I think that the XA2 Ultra is a very good phone for mid $200. I really like this phone. This is Eric from Easy Computer Solution. I will have full camera reviews coming up between this phone and other devices coming soon. So subscribe and hit that bell notification to make sure that you're notified when I drop that video. See you guys on the next video. Peace.